Hello, welcome to this month's episode of the Smile, Create, Repeat demonstration video. We're using supplies from the January 2020 surprise, so Happy New Year. We have a lot of great stuff that came in this month's surprise. It's water-soluble, watercolor effects type thing. We have a lot of great, and I'm gonna try to do a series here. So what that means is 3 paintings that all work together, don't have to be identical. So I'm going to see what happens. One good way to do that is to use the same colors, and it doesn't have to be like, let's say all yellow, but it can be yellow, a lot of yellow, then some of that same yellow, and you just mix them up. We're going to show you a couple different techniques with water-soluble tools, and you can, if you apply it to some sort of non-porous surface, this is just a little piece of scrap plastic from my girls' dolls, but you can put some pigment on there, and then you get your brush, add water to it, and then you have a little bit of watercolor. So that'll work also if you're doing traveling with things like that, with like plein air. With a brand new brush, it's stiff because there's preservatives and stuff to keep the shape. So you just want to get a little water in there and then just get that stuff out of there and wipe it on your towel over there. So to get going, if you're going to follow along, you'll need a little cup of water, probably a paper towel, something like that. And we're going to get started. So I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to go. And I'm going to try to keep this a shape. And I'm going to also try to keep some of that texture of that pencil, crayon, watercolor wax. And I'm getting lots of water on there to really dissolve it a lot in some areas and less in others. So we have this gelato, and that's really like a stick or crayon, no, not a crayon, but a stick of pigment. So I'm going to try, let's see, I'm not really sure. Let's see what happens. And then maybe this side will come down like that, because those all followed it, but this one maybe I separate it. And this is also, I'm going to soften, and I like that because there's bits of, well, you can see it in that shot, the shadow right there, how there's globs of that stuff on there. So I'm going to try to preserve that, at least in this round, and that might change in future applications, but let's see if we can maybe blend that into the yellow, and of course we can, and just to see what that does. And maybe even over on this one we'll bring some of that up, so it just softens it. And there's a lot of pausing while you're doing this, because you want some parts to dry, some parts not to, just to see what it looks like. So now I have this Aqua Spectrum. It's a water-soluble pen, and this also works. Here, I'll actually do that right now. Let me grab the brush. Tip. So if you do this on the plastic, see you have that there. And now if you go and grab your clean brush with clean water, does that, and now you can go ahead and add some to your picture. I like that one better. So I'm going to go in and add water to this, and that should be able to soften that. Not quite the same, but I kind of like that texture too. And you can see how I'm just smushing the brush down to get some of the bristles just to dance around on the paper and see what happens. And let's see if that yellow one, yeah, the yellow does it too. So we have that. And those blend, so let's say I do that down one side of this yellow shape to add a little bit of orange, we'll call it. And that needs more water on my brush. Okay, so that's a nice technique. So we're gonna do this, that's what I was gonna do. So I'm gonna use this fine tip because these are really broad shapes. That's a big, bold shape. These are thick, chunky lines, washes. So the fine point will be a nice contrast to those big shapes to this delicate line. So I'm going to just I'm going to try to draw over everything. See, that picked up some of that watercolor gunk. So I just wiped that off on my towel. Oh, got a lot there. But that's kind of a neat effect that it's making, I'm not gonna lie. It's almost like sparklers, something like that. And I don't want to outline the yellow shape. Nice. And we're probably going to go back in with more, but we'll do that later. I'm going to go in with this. No, we want to do that later because that's a hard pencil. So here we have the Derwent sketching. It's a wash, so this will also be water soluble. But I'm trying to add some dark in there because we have a lot of light, and these are a mid to high value. So dark is a low value, light is on a scale of 1 to 10, this would be probably 3, 4 if 1 is light. So I'm going to add some messy dark to it now. So now, trying to keep some of those same marks. And let's use that pink line as a barrier to this, and we'll fade it to nothing maybe. But you let the artwork dictate what you're going to do. And this one I'll do it at the top here. And that was wet, so that isn't blending as well, I think, this time. So one of the things, I did a couple sketches here, and I wanted to add just some lines, some marks, and some, let's see, oh, that paint's still wet. I mean, the paper's still wet, so I'm gonna wait for that. So that one was on wet paper, so it was very soft. The line is softer. So once that dries, we're going to work on it some more. All right, I think they've dried a little. This I wish I could undo because that's an eye, nose, mouth, beard, and that's not what I want. That's not at all what I was shooting for. So I'm gonna tip it upside down. So let's see what we can do. Because I was just going to put a lot of eyeballs in it. Just to see. Because if you want something to look artsy, you put eyeballs in it, I guess. And there's another one. This paper's soft. And so these are going to be, when I was deciding what to do for this demo, oh, see, that's a little, if you draw, when you do it, you'll just notice if you draw on the wetter paper versus the drier paper, this has a much more texture to it. What was I saying? Oh, when I was coming up with the idea for this video, I was thinking I would I was going to do one of them and then do a larger painting. So do this as like a color study to see how I wanted to make a painting, and then I was going to make a painting of it. So I am going to do that. I'll pick which one. Actually, maybe you can tell me which one, 2, or 3, once it's done, which one you think you'd like to see. And I'll post that on Instagram also, and we'll get an official, unofficial vote and see what everyone says. Hopefully there's some response, even if I have to go in there and say, yeah, Tony, that's a great one, from Tony. Putting eyes in here because I really just want the texture and something, because I think, I don't know what to say. I think if you saw this just the way they were before the eyes, yeah, you might like them, you might not like them. But I think if you see a picture with a bunch of eyeballs on it, you might like it or not, but you're going to stop and look at it. And that, I think, is what I'm trying to do. And grouping. So these are grouped, and then one outside. These are kind of grouped in this mass. Then you have these hanging out here, and then this is all grouped right here. Some more funny lines. That's a fun thing to do too, that I'm gonna do maybe a little more. Add some more just random lines. And now I'm going to do some pattern and repetition. So I have it's a 4H. It's a hard lead, and I'm going to draw in the white dry area, I think. So there's 4 lines there, so I'm going to repeat that here. And up there, so maybe I will do it again up here. And where am I going to put some of those lines? Maybe those will go. So what do those tell us? So maybe this one will go. See this, my color, this is very bold, and I don't want to have a lot of that. Whoop, don't want that. But I do want to add a little bit more. So having those, and this is tough because you have to do it and then see what it looks like. And if you like it, great. If you don't, you just throw more on it. So this part, oh, that was right in the middle, so I need to bring that over because we don't want it, well, not necessarily don't want it, but this is chunky, so it leaves some neat bold marks, which I like. You can really beat it up. And these, I've seen other artists use these on massive 5 feet by 10 foot long murals, not murals, abstract paintings. I saw those and then I looked it up and I found them, and I thought that would be really neat. It looks like a kid's toy, but the amount of pigment and color and just the freedom you get of moving it, it's really nice. And this one here is bleeding off the edge, and here and here. This one's not. So I'm going to draw on the table. Believe it or not, in my house we draw on our tables a lot. So I wanted to keep that consistent. I like how this yellow over the pink blended into a little bit of orange. And then you can go in and you can soften that a little bit if you want to. Maybe there, maybe a little bit there. Maybe that one blends into that. And can we do that with some of these eyes? Or all of them. Just add a little bit to them and I guess it depends on what you want to do. Do you want them to be graphical like that? Do you want to add a little volume? and that could also soften it. And then you can even go back in once those dry, or when they don't. Look at what it does to the when it's wet. That was really some bold mark making there. So I think that's it for now. Again, so I'm going to post on there. Let us know your comments. Have a happy new year, and go onto our Instagram page and vote to if which one you like best that I'll make a painting of. So thank you again very much. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a wonderful New Year. And remember to smile, create, repeat.